You just tuned in to Up for Discussion.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Here we go.
Is there anybody out there?
If there's not, they will be soon.
Is there anybody out there?
All right.
Someone I can trust. Ain't it crazy? That's a song we had to sing when I was in grade school in a grade school play. Somebody told somebody not to tell, but they told it anyway. It's crazy.
Oh, we're good. We're good,
It's
man.
crazy that I can remember that from like probably, I don't know, 5th grade or something like that. Thank you,
Check
Mrs. Brentlinger.
Bless her.
She pumped the arts. She pumped the arts, and I think English. English didn't stick, but that song from the play stuck pretty good. I can still remember it, but
All right.
still don't know where to put a comma.
Tonight is episode 49. We're calling it a target-rich environment. We're going to talk about pretty much how our season ended up and things that are to come and how to stay sharp still until, what's a guy do after deer season? Pretty much what are you doing to keep your senses honed and keep dialed in?
Do you recede into the couch and the recliner,
You gain some weight?
or do you find something else to?
Yeah.
And I guess it wouldn't have to be hunting, but or hunting an animal, but hunting something.
Something. Yeah.
Hunting
What do you do to
something.
stay busy?
Getting out there and doing something. Because my wife will tell you, about 2 or 3 evenings, days, or something like that, sitting around the house doing nothing. She goes, "You need to go do something, don't you?"
You
And
can tell.
yeah,
You're
she's
starting
like,
to stir.
"You're getting fidgety." And I mean, if it's summertime, I just need to go fishing for
Yep.
a couple hours or something, scratch that itch, or
I like to do a little fishing.
I tell you what I've been notorious for the years is just taking, I don't know what to call it other than a wilderness walk.
Yeah, just getting out there and walking around.
Yeah, sometimes deer season to be out, and maybe I'm not after something else, and we get a late February snow or something. I just like to walk in the fresh snow.
I do too. I like
And
to
I
get
just
out.
take off and do about 2 or 3 mile hike around the woods and the wilderness and up the creeks and around the river, and you see things.
You do.
You find things.
Maybe an arrowhead.
Yeah, arrowhead. It's hard to find arrowheads in the snow.
But you could find them in a creek.
In a creek,
or
yeah,
a
creek
ditch.
bottom.
Yeah.
You'll walk across these,
Yes.
and I sometimes always, I would say, maybe my intent is not necessarily like I'm going out today to shed hunt, but anytime from here on out, you're in the wilderness areas. You keep your eyes open for these things laying on the ground.
I would call you an opportunist.
Yeah, I mean, I never,
You're proactive. That's what we
proactive, yeah.
learned at Bible study last night.
Yeah, be proactive.
Yeah.
Get
Be a
out.
doer.
Get out ahead of some things and quit
Yeah.
waiting for things to hit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so target rich environment.
Yep.
We've made it through October, November, December, now the half of January, and deer season is officially
to a close.
Gone. No more. Well, there will be some deer season in 2025, but no more deer season till October.
Yeah,
for Illinois anyway. I realize if you're in another state, that may kick off a little sooner.
Well, I talked to a good friend of mine, and he's down in Florida. They were getting the snow. He was sending me pictures, and their season's still in.
That'd be neat.
Yeah, it would be.
If I was a deer hunter in Florida, I would have been like, "You're not going to see me till all this melts off," which was probably the next day.
Well, it's still they had
some
record snow down there.
Yeah, I knew they did.
I sent him a picture of my budget Walmart camo. I was like, because obviously the guys have no snow camo down there.
Painter suit.
I was like, here, man, head to Walmart, $30 will take you all the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man.
We've done it all.
Yeah.
Painter suits, drape white sheets over us, and and
Yeah.
some other things.
Whatever it takes to get close and make it happen.
But we've made it through deer season. It's over.
Very bittersweet.
It's over.
I walked
It's-
outside Monday and just stared at my neighbor's house, and I was like,
What am I gonna do?
"What am I going to do?" You know,
Yeah. Well, some people got to go to work.
I know I need to do that
And
too.
you got to do that too. Yeah. But anyway, it's over. So the weekend, you're not, if you're a weekend hunter, if you get to hunt 2 or 3 times during the week, a lot of times I get, gosh, probably on average 3 to 4
Yeah.
good hunt in during the week.
Yeah.
I'm blessed in that,
Mhm.
in that area. Depends on the time of year, of course.
Sure.
I'm going to hit it way harder first 2 weeks of November, but then maybe a little lull, and then really try to hammer down the last 2 weeks of season because, man, they just get predictable. We got this good cold weather, and
They still got antlers on their head. and-
they're starting to show themselves on the food. So anyhow, I'm blessed in the fact I would say on average, 4 hunts in a normal week.
Yeah.
But if that's you, or if you're just the guys like, man, all I get in is Saturday, Sunday. If you hunt on Sunday, that's over.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do
Let's
with that? Them, like for me, those 4 hunts a week. If you're the guy that's Saturday weekend shots, what are you going to do now?
let's well, okay, yeah, we can do that. Then we'll circle back to
Well, we
Okay.
can.
well, because I wanted to talk about kind of just sew up our season real quick.
Well, let's do that first. That'd make more sense. Remember, everybody, be thinking about what are you going to do.
Yeah.
You can start putting in the comments if you want.
Yeah. What?
We're watching the comments here or doing the best.
Yeah. When deer season wraps
I'll
up,
turn myself off.
what do you get into? You switch gears per se.
Yeah. Some people are waiting for crappie.
Yeah,
you
they
know,
are.
So anyway, wrap up your season.
Okay. Well, in a nutshell, I hunted very hard this season. I went many days, probably more than I should have, and I had some awesome encounters with a couple nice bucks. Wound up losing one, which was pretty hard on me. It does happen. It's not something where I just shot it and walked away. I looked and looked and looked, and honestly, through looking through it, I discovered some ground that I had access to hunt and found some really good places in there, and was able to get in and killed a decent buck.
Is that being proactive?
That was being proactive, and I am proactive.
Yeah.
I like to get out and walk around.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I just like to. I love
Scout.
Yeah, I'm a scouter, man. I just am. I want to see, like, after those big rains that came a couple times. After 2 or 3 days, I would just find myself kind of maybe walking the perimeter or find a creek crossing or something where I knew I was going to see some sign, look at that. But anyway, yeah, wind up having a killer hunt there at the very end of the season. Killed a really nice buck on the ground in the snow in the freezing cold. Probably one of the best bow kills I've ever had, and it was completely by chance, just at the right place at the right time. Shot at a deer and missed it, and he reacted, and they were all out there on the ice crunching around, and so he ran right to me. He had no idea where it all came from. He came right to me, and I shot him point blank, and kind of stood there and freaked out after it all happened.
Off the ground. That's
Off the ground.
yeah.
That's the first buck I'd ever shot off the ground,
Really.
and
Yeah.
it was a good buck.
I'm always surprised at how many people have never killed a deer with a bow off the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was being proactive. I was driving around scouting for deer, and I'd seen a group of deer, and I, had access to a piece of property, and I was like,
Put the sneak on. Huh?
yeah. Well, I was driving around. I started second guessing. I got in my head, and I was like, and then I was like, dude, if you don't do something, nothing's going to happen. And it all worked out. It worked out. It was awesome. Very exhilarating. Good hunt. And then I hunted really hard, man. Went after some does there late and tried to get my boy a doe. And this was just a really hard late season. The weather, it was very cold, but man, it was tough. It was one of the rougher ones that I've had.
A lot of ice.
A lot of ice.
A lot of ice and snow. Well, for me, you got another buck.
Yeah.
didn't you?
That's what.
You
Yeah.
bucked out.
Yeah, I bucked out.
You might have said that.
Well, I actually went with Latham.
I was with you.
Yeah.
I went with you. Actually.
Yeah, well, we went together,
we were together.
and we infiltrated
together forever.
a very.
I'll quit singing now.
we walked way in there. It was a big hunt. It was an all-day adventure, and we walked way in, and I had seen and had some video footage of a really nice big old deer. I was calling a gray dog,
Big old chocolate.
big old chocolate 8-pointer. And I got so keyed up and got so big-eyed. I looked up and seen antlers, and I was like, there he is. And I went right down the old peep sight, and I killed him dead. I shot him straight in front of me, pumped him in the heart.
Yeah.
He didn't hardly bleed a drop. We walked up. I found him. We found him. And I was like, oh, that's not gray dog. It's a pretty serious shrinkage.
It's a nice buck.
It was a nice buck.
You called me.
I was so pumped up.
You called me. Got him. I got him. I got him. Lathan, I got him. You said it like 4 times.
Yeah, I was like, we walked in here 1.5 miles.
Yeah.
Been here all day, and I killed that deer. Yeah, it was awesome.
Because we kind of went into a spot on a whim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never been there, never hunted it before ever.
Yeah, that side of the property never been big, huge property. Anyhow, you called me and I was like, well, can I stay here? Because it was like 2:00 or 2:30, give or take. You did good early evening buck. And I was like, can I stay here? Do you need help? He's like, no, let's stay here. Because I was thinking maybe we could double up.
Yeah. Oh, that'd been cool.
And, didn't end up doing that, but we did get down looking for him. And your arrow stayed in him, didn't it? Or
yeah, he carried arrow for just
a good way.
Yeah, a couple yards, and he snapped a broadhead off in him.
Having a hard time finding blood, and I was kind of bird dogging the blood trail, and you was kind of banana sweeping in front of me.
I was just bird dogging. Put my nose on the ground.
I guess bird dogs actually do what you were doing. Beagle dogs do what I was doing. They don't move. I wasn't moving very far, but I was picking up little dots here and there and trying to just move it along slow. And you was kind of bird dogging in front of me. Anyhow, you go, got him.
He was laying right there, wasn't
he? And then as I headed towards, that's when I heard you say, oh, he's not as big as I thought he was.
But there's no shame. There was no shame in that.
Good buck. Nice. Yeah. What was he, a 9?
Yeah, he was 9.
He's a 9-point.
Yeah.
Good buck, but not old gray dog.
It was not. No, he was not.
But man, when things happen fast in them brush patches,
and it was thick, man.
Yeah, you turn around and they're standing there slap in front of you. Everybody that's hunted any time at all has done it, and if they haven't, there's a good chance they're lying to you.
I was just so confident because I kept getting pictures of that one deer, and I was hunting just one little bitty spot, man.
And that morning, I did have a hog.
Yeah, you had a good one on you
because we sat in there. We was in there all day. We went in. All I remember is I left the house like at 3:30.
If you want to hunt with me,
I left the house. I left the house about 3:30.
I'll leave you hanging in the stand.
He said, "We gotta walk a long ways," and he wasn't lying. And come to find out, a quarter of that ways through water. Yeah. It was only, thank the Lord, it was only a couple inches deep.
Just needed a machete to get in there.
And then you had your spot kind of previously picked out.
I'd seen it. Yeah.
From being over there scouting, looking for your
for that deer I shot. Yeah.
And I just licked my finger, went like this, and went on past.
There's plenty of options to choose from.
Had my saddle that morning, got off, went in there, and I was like, not much.
Pitch dark. I mean,
pitch, and not very many trees to pick from.
No,
as far as tons of trees, but they're not a lot of big trees, new growth,
and just so thick.
Thick, and a lot of new growth trees that they're just 4 inches round. You can't get in them.
Yeah.
Finally found a big old willow that was, for whatever reason, bigger than the others. Got in it.
About as big as this.
Yeah. Never.
Dr. Pepper can. That's what it felt like.
It was about 2 Dr. Pepper cans.
Maybe that.
Yeah, here you go. That was more like my coffee cup.
You're like, oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, I can do that one. And got up there decent, And I remember when I got up there, we've strayed. Now we're just telling hunting stories. But can you hang with us for a minute? We're going to circle back and wrap up the season, and then we're going to go on to the target rich environment. But because that was probably one of my favorite hunts in the fact that was my favorite deer of the year.
That was a good one.
That was my favorite deer buck of the year that I saw. And
He was in there several
I
times.
seen a buck or two that may even have been bigger as far as scoring, But anyhow, I picked that willow tree up, got up in it, never seen a deer, not a doe, not a flag of a tail way off in the brush, not a flick of an ear, nothing, not a flash through a hole. Sometimes you're like, well, at least I seen one.
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
No,
You're like, oh,
none
it was a
of
good
that.
hunt. I seen a deer.
Just hanging there in my saddle on the side of that willow tree. And I was almost straight up 11 o'clock.
Yeah, it was.
It was like straight up. I had just looked at my phone or something watching. It was like straight up 11 o'clock. And I heard something and like a twig snap or something. I looked over my shoulder and probably 40. I never ranged it, but 40 to a little over 40 yards. I was like, oh,
Mr. Booner.
I could see this huge deer standing there.
Oh, he had some beams on him, man.
And anyhow, he's standing there, and you could tell he was almost downwind of me.
Yeah.
But I had put out a big scent bomb. I'd gotten there when I got my first 2 sticks on, because I did my saddle. I had a 4-stick setup. When I got my first 2, I put my first stick on. No, my first 2 sticks don't matter, but I put my first 2 sticks on before I started climbing. And then I had lip curl, I believe.
Yeah.
And I put it out like, I was like,
thick,
like you said, I was walking around like this with the bottle of lip curl.
like a Catholic priest blessing.
Yeah.
Blessing a baby.
Yeah, I was putting it on trees all around me and putting out a good scent. Anyhow, I think he was on that and maybe picking me up too.
Sure.
Anyhow, he was, you could tell he's a little nervous.
It was a good time of year though. They were keyed
it
up.
was rut. It was, they were still hammered down rut. But so he calms down finally and starts going east. I was like, oh, I can't shoot through there nowhere. And he's going straight east, like going away from me at this point. And I had my rattling horns with me, and I had tied them earlier to the rope and let them down to the bottom tree. I do that. Been doing that a lot this year, clanking them around.
That works good, don't it?
Hitting the leaves and all that stuff. And he had just got out of sight to the east, and and I mean, that rascal turned and come trotting right in there. And I had him inside of 30, 28 to 30 yards, walking. Now he's walking south towards you, but he's east of me still. And I remember when I got in that willow tree, I was like, man, I can't hardly shoot to the east. And I was begging for a hole. I was like, there's going to be a hole through here.
Wishing one. About almost send it through there.
Yeah, there just was nothing to send it. There were cypress trees there, and anybody knows cypress trees full of just limb.
Little needles all over.
Yeah, you can climb them like a ladder.
Yeah. That's what I actually did that morning. I didn't even use any sticks. I just was like, oh.
So he got out of sight, and I think I called you, and I said, there's a good one.
Yeah.
And he's going south. I don't know if he'll go past you, but he's going south. You said what he looked like, and I just remember he looked like he had 2 arms on his head that almost touched in the middle.
Beach ball.
Yeah.
This is my beach ball.
And you end up getting quite a few pictures of him.
Yeah, he'd been in there. Oh, man, he's a good
anyhow, that was my favorite buck. I had several stalks. I did have a huge big deer, Blake Spurlock, end up getting it.
Yeah.
We hunt some properties close together. So he got that deer. Good buck.
Yeah,
the 170s, I think.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Good. When I was crawling up on that buck in a cornfield bedded with a doe, and a pickup truck come down that grassy farm road for whatever reason, probably doing the same thing I was doing, looking for a deer.
Yeah.
And got him nervous and got him up. That don't mean I would have got him, but I was about to get in the game there, 120 yards from him, crawling down a corn row. But
that's exhilarating.
Crawled up on another buck, had a close encounter with that deer, had a close encounter back up there again with you with a really nice, might be your old gray dog buck, a really nice 8-point buck, man, a good 8-pointer on the snow up the first snow we had, that little snow.
Yeah.
I was just still hunting. Man, that dude, and I looked over there, he walked right up 12 yards from me. And as I drawed my bow, he boogered. Anyway.
You had some good hunts.
I can't complain. And I had lots of deer, good bucks, that I just chose this year to let them to give them the pass because I felt like they were 3.5-year-olds. And I told myself at the beginning of the season, I don't care if somebody shoots a 3.5-year-old. Let me reiterate that. Shoot as many 3-year-olds as you want, 2-year-olds, yearlings. I don't care.
Do your thing.
I'm not the guy that's like, I can't believe it. I'm not
No,
that guy. I don't
no.
care. But I did set my personal
Yeah.
mind this year. I said, Lathan, you have to be perfectly fine with not punching your tag at the end of the year unless it's a 4.5, because that could mean you're not going to kill one.
Yeah.
If
absolutely.
you're going to just be so strict to not shoot nothing but 4.5 plus, then I knew. Now next year, will I shoot a 3.5-year-old? I don't know. I'll tell you next year. I don't know.
I was thinking you left out. Remember that one where you hunted in the rain all day and you had that buck on you all day long?
Oh yeah, big wide. I was going to shoot that buck, 23-inch plus wide, 8-point. 15 minutes after daylight, him and his does in there, bedded within. They moved several times, but they was always within 80 yards. I mean, sometimes it was 60.
What a good hunt.
All day he would get up and walk circles around that deer. And there were several times. I remember that Creed song, 6 feet from the edge.
He was close, wasn't he?
Every time I was singing that song, because I was like, if he'd make that swing just 6 more feet this way, I could shoot. Never did get a shot. Kristen called me, my wife, at like, because I think I told her I'd be in probably around, 10:30, 11. I had several things to do and wasn't going to hunt all day. She calls me at like 12:30.
Yeah. Where you at? Yeah.
She's like, are you all right? I thought you was coming in. I was like, well, I got this big buck laying here next to me. I can't get down, And at 2:30, he got up with his doe, and the doe got up, and he gets following her, and I walked out of my life, and I never got a shot at him, and never seen that deer again.
But that was a good hunt, though.
That's a good hunt.
To
It
be
was
on
hard
one-
on the mind. I didn't sit down hardly all day
exhilarating.
because he
I'd
would
say.
be up just every few minutes, and he'd be walking, pacing around. I was like, okay, if he comes literally like 6 feet more steps here, 6 steps, and I've got him, and he just wouldn't get. He never did get it. It was crazy.
I had a
If you'd
couple
had it
good-
on video, you'd been like, this is nuts, Oid.
Man, that one I had in that 3-year-old 8-pointer, big white, he'll be a giant. If he doesn't get mowed down, he'll be a dandy buck. But he was in that backwater and it's so dead still walking circles around me. You could hear him step for step. I was like, he was on me for so long that I got so lax. I started scrolling Facebook Marketplace and I would just kind of like, yeah, there he is.
Yeah, there he is again. There he is again. I think I had a hunt with that deer too.
Yeah, you did.
That deer
Yeah.
come by me
Yeah,
But I
twice.
think, twice.
He'll
One
be-
time at 40, and I was like, oh, that was a hard deer to pass.
Oh,
He was
'cause
a nice buck.
He's wide.
Nice
Yeah.
buck, but I could tell I was like, he's probably 3.5
Mhm.
year old. Just let him go, Lathan.
He'll be a dandy this year.
And I'll be doggone. He left, made a big circle, and come right back by me on the other side, like at 20, 25 yards.
Gave
And I
it
was
to you,
like,
didn't he?
Yeah, that was a chip. Chippy shot there.
He didn't even know you were
He
there.
didn't have a clue I was there. Till he got all the way around me, and then I
You
think he
get
got
your
my
win a
wind,
little bit.
and he was in between me and you, and I think you texted, hey, I seen one. I was like, yeah, he just come by.
Yeah, I see one cut through the thicket
Yeah,
there.
but anyway, so that's the season. There's a lot more in it within that.
Yeah,
but
it was a
that
good season.
I end up filling my tags with does, and I'm happy about that and fine with that. So
Punching holes in does.
punching hose. So now we need to go to this.
Yeah,
What
what's
are
a
you gonna
guy do?
What are you gonna do? I'll tell you what I do. I can start off. I mean, the day almost that deer season goes out within a day or so.
I'm gonna take a nice drink of this Dr. Thunder here.
Dr. Thunder.
They're sponsoring tonight's
Thunder.
episode. No, they're not.
Sponsored by Dr. Thunder.
Here, listen to this, guys.
I heard it. I got Black Rifle coffee brewing in here in my cabinet.
Go
Anyway,
ahead. Go ahead. I'm done having fun.
yeah, within a day, I am generally calling coyotes. I like the night hunt with the thermals and IR, the night vision, all that stuff. That's fun, and I'll do it. And I've already talked to somebody about doing it. My son-in-law Jared was like, "We need to get that going, don't we?" He's like, "Oh yeah. Well, any night, just tell me,
because he's into that too.
Yeah,
isn't he?
and we'll go calling at night, but I really love calling them in the daylight.
Yeah, it's a different game.
To me, it's more hunting. It's at night you can my land you can set up 50 yards from the road. You can stand
right
30
beside the car. You
yeah,
know,
40 or 50 yards from your truck at the most, and maybe closer. I don't know. I don't know what even the law is there. Probably need to know, but you got to get off the road, obviously. And if you're back on an old farmer's road,
field road. It don't
field
matter. It's
road.
not a county road.
you know, you can on the right night, you can be right close to your vehicle. Just
Yeah.
set your setup and put your call out in the field and
Set your Dr. Thunder right on the hood.
yeah, drink your coffee, keep the wind right, obviously with coyotes, but you know, they'll come in. Now in the daytime, you're gonna have to walk in,
They're keyed up.
you're gonna have to pick the right setup.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to be able to shoot downwind for sure. Cause in the daylight, if they do come in, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to give themselves up unless they can go downwind first.
They do circle, don't they? That is,
Most of the time, the dogs it depends on the geographical location, but the coyotes that I've killed, like I got my first one on my first trip out, killed a coyote the other night in that freezing cold. It was like 2 degrees when I shot her,
stuff.
and had several talking to me before dark. And finally one broke out of the group and come in, and it was heading. I mean, it was 70 yards when I shot it, but it was heading downwind.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, may have been a young dog. I didn't pay that much attention, but you get an old warrior male coyote that's
Yeah.
his teeth are all busted and ears are notched. And I killed one maybe 2 years ago. I was like, look at this thing. I should have took pictures. His
All scarred up
ears and face all scarred up, and one canine tooth snapped off, and just all kinds of ugly stuff. Called that coyote in and felt like I really done something,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But most of the time you want to be able to shoot the downwind side. But anyway, that's one thing that I do. I enjoy that. I like to get up. Like I went this morning because we don't open until 10, got up. It was easier. This is crazy. It was easier for me to get up this morning before daylight to go coyote hunting than it was there at the end of season to go deer hunting. I
Yeah.
think because it was a switch in the
It's a new thing. You're
yeah. But anyhow, I got walked in and I was going to use my electronic call, and I knew it needed new batteries, but I thought I can get two sets in this morning. And no,
Still cold
I
weather
couldn't get
is after.
I didn't get quite a half a set in. I turned on the old shelter belt rabbit squall from Lucky Duck, and it's like,
Sound like one choked out
and I
there.
was like, well, and I told you on the Facebook Live this morning, I've called many coyotes in with my voice. I can squeal pretty good like a rat with my voice, you know, turn it up like that and start squealing. And I've called, but I can't do that very long before my voice is like,
Start getting hoarse.
you're done. And I even yip and howl at them, you
Yeah.
know, with my voice, and can get them to respond and come to that. And you always can kiss at them. If you've never hunted coyotes, the kiss is a deadly weapon.
Really? Just the old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I guess
That's how I finish most of
That's
it.
a distress, isn't it?
Like that coyote come out the other night, and I, you know, she was, I don't know, probably 140, 150 yards out there. And I knew there was more in there, so I didn't want to just wax her there. I was like, I see if I can get her to come. Maybe her little pack will come out,
Yeah.
and I can try to double up. So I started kissing at him, and she went, doot, 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 doot. Here she come. You know, she's going to go ahead and finish that. And she come from 140, 150 to, I probably shot her at 70 or 80 or 60. I didn't range it. Obviously, it's not that important with a good rifle. You
Yeah.
know, when they break that 150, they're dead meat if they're holding still.
Pretty
Unless I
flat.
do something silly. And when they break the 100, it's like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah, they're
you know,
in
with a
there
good
then.
rifle. But anyhow, that's what I do. That's one of my favorite. And I'll do that pretty hard till March. I'll do that 3 to 4 times a week, probably. And then March, you know, I don't know, things start warming up, and I get easily get sidetracked with it. It doesn't drive me maybe like a big buck drives me. Even though a coyote, I would put a coyote and a big buck in a class together,
They're elusive.
and I would probably say the coyote is, I would say, sharper.
Oh, for sure.
You know, scientifically, someone could probably say, "Oh, for sure they are."
Well,
you know,
it's-
in the
they're-
realm.
Well, for one, they're a predator.
Yeah,
You know, so they're wired a little bit different. You know, they have to actually kill in order to survive.
yeah.
And so,
And
Yeah.
you know, so I mean, anybody that's hunted them, or even just deer hunted and seen coyotes, You kill a coyote with your bow, you can chalk that up to just about the same as killing a big mature buck.
Well, I'll just plug this. 2 different times in my life, I have killed 2 different coyotes and missed a third
Yeah.
with my bow. And I mean, right there, boom, boom, and then missed the third one. And so, honestly, I have a bar that is set that I aspire to pull a hat trick with
Get
my bow
3.
in a row. I've done that 2 times.
Yeah.
It was pretty
That's
awesome.
tough because I have doubled with my bow one time.
Oh, so
but-
you're like, "Oh, I just did something."
It was nuts, dude. It was really nuts because they came in a pair. I shot one, the other one left, and he went way out in the field and started booger barking at me, like warning barking,
Mhm.
letting all the
Letting
other
everybody
coyotes know
know.
something's not right. And I just booger barked back
Like
at
there's
him.
an arrow, no Danny over there.
Yeah. Jim don't look good at all.
He's down,
He
boys.
ain't even moving right now. But he went way out there about 200 yards in the field, booger barked at me, and I just booger barked, challenged barked back at him. The silly
He
thing
come
come right
back.
back. I was like,
Well, he didn't think about that one, did
I
he?
was like foolishness. But anyhow, I could still probably, if I go back through the years of 30 years of bow hunting, I can still think, man, it may have just been
Handful of coyotes with your
just
bow.
a handful of them. I've missed several because
Yeah.
there's several things there. They're sharper in attack.
And they're normally
They have a
moving.
zero tolerance for anything, movement, smell. They don't stand around. They're gone.
Anything human, and they are.
And they're not as big as you think they are.
No, they're small target, and they're
Yeah.
normally moving.
Yeah,
They-
and they're quick on the draw. You let that arrow go, and they could move before the arrow gets there. But
Normally, you catch them just coming by you. you
yeah,
know?
so I do enjoy. I've always said coyotes are funner to shoot. I think I was telling Jarrett this the other night. Coyotes are funner to shoot than deer are. Deer are funner to hunt. Big bucks is so rewarding when you finally get one in bow range and get it.
I love shooting deer, though.
Yeah,
Right. It does
this year's the
something.
first year I killed does, and I think I was telling you guys like 5 or 6 years. We don't eat them as much, and
I thoroughly enjoy it. It does something for me.
Well,
It
yeah.
does. It does.
I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong.
I'm
but
like, I smoked that
I
thing.
shot that doe the other night on the snow and her big brown eyes. I was like, bless your
I
heart.
know.
I'm so sorry.
They are pretty. The does are beautiful.
Yeah.
I even think they have a pleasant odor to them. Like
Yeah.
kind of sweet smelling, I'm like,
Yeah.
but
And they do taste good when done right.
They
They're
are. They're
wonderful. to eat.
delicious.
So I'm not against, don't think I'm against shooting does. And when I say that I felt sorry for her, no, I didn't, because it's
there was a
Yes.
moment of weakness.
just an animal. But anyway,
Well, there's a thing. I mean, we'll just be straight up. You're a compassionate man.
yeah,
You are.
I was
You
like,
know? You feel that compassion.
and the
you know?
longer I'm on planet Earth, the more respect you have for life. It's just a
Yes,
thing.
it is, for sure.
It's just a real thing.
My dad, he killed so many deer, it was ridiculous. And
When
now
you're-
he's
when
like,
you're young.
yeah, when he was young,
Yeah.
he'd feed us. That's all we did: rabbit, squirrel, deer. You pick and shot out about everything you were eating at the table. Have a little pile of shot over there on your plate.
Yeah.
But like, he got to where and this is probably about the age he started doing it. Was in his 40s that he just stopped one day. He just stopped. He's like, I can't do it. He started taking a video camera and he started recording them. The big old camcorders out.
Yeah.
And then he's like, Bub, you don't need to kill those deer.
And you're like, Dad, yes, I do. Yeah, when I was young, if it was brown and I had tags, it was in trouble.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I don't even care to eat that tag. I'll just stay here and keep. And there's kind of 2 or 3 fold there. I'm always like, man, if I shoot that doe now, I've got to mess with her. Or if I shoot that doe now, there's a good chance old Biggins
Could have
around
been a
the
big one
corner.
behind
So
her,
I
yeah.
just,
Start to
anyway.
justify things.
Obviously, I can kill. You seen the other night. You come help me.
Pretty lethal.
I've done some killing, but
The old green
uh,
goblin there, man.
it found its mark, didn't it?
It's on both
but the-
sides. It puts a good hole.
Yeah.
You about see daylight through that one.
So now this target-rich environment for me would be coyotes. I'll tell you what my first love was. What do you think my first love in hunting was?
I would say
Even before deer. I mean, I loved it so
Like
much.
rabbit hunting or
Rabbit hunting.
really just getting
My
out,
dad had to tell me to quit. Like he's like, you
then the
cannot,
fence rose out.
yeah, you cannot kill it. Well, back
There used to
gosh,
be a bunch of
30
rabbits.
years ago. So probably 35 years ago or 34. 'Cause I think me and Wes were talking to I think I've been bow hunting for 30. It's crazy. But 31 years. I've never missed a season. I've killed at least one deer every year except for my second year of bow hunting. Killed one my first year, had buck fever on no matter what it was so bad. My second year,
I still have buck
I
fever.
couldn't make the connection. My third year, I started getting it hashed out and was doing some killing. And then about my fourth or fifth year, they made tags went over the
Oh
counter.
yeah, you're like, this
And
is
I
awesome.
was like, you mean I can go back to Walmart and buy another tag?
Honed your craft.
Yeah. My dad also told me to quit killing deer. He's like, you can't kill them. If you want to kill a deer, you can kill one more. You got this tag. We're not buying no more. Whatever this tag goes on is the last deer. So you better pick. So then I got a little more choosy. But he started with me like that on rabbits.
Yeah.
I would ride the bus home from Jeff grade school. And I mean, I would peel out of that off those steps November when I was a kid. Because my parents, I don't know what my age was. I started bow hunting in the 6th grade, probably started rabbit hunting by myself in the 4th.
Different time back then. It was
They just hand me a 16 gauge single shot. And I would come off those steps of the school bus and I was running to the brush. And what I was getting ready to say was 34 years ago, 32 years ago, give or take, somewhere around in there, rabbits were abundant.
It was before all the red tail hawks.
Man, rabbits
I
were
think.
abundant.
Do you think that, or you just think there were so many fence rows that got cleared?
I think it's probably in a litany of things because maybe there's more hawks. There's less fence rows and weed patches and brush patches than there was. I mean, there's so many brush patches, honeysuckles / weed patches that I hunted as a kid rabbit hunt that are not.
They're gone.
They're just wide open space now. So that's a thing. Of course, you've always probably had coyotes here for quite a few years, but now in the last 30 years, the bobcats have come in.
Yeah, bobcats are pretty treacherous.
On a major,
yeah.
You know, I mean, everybody's seeing them now. Used to 15 years ago, it's like, I seen a bobcat.
Oh,
I mean, I got a picture of its foot.
It was a cougar.
You know,
yeah.
And now it's like everybody's seen a bobcat. Trappers are having to let them go out of their traps.
I catch them on camera.
Yeah.
All the time.
I mean, it's that. So it's in a litany probably of things. And maybe some people think some of the chemicals farmers use could be, putting a hurt on them.
Who knows?
From that angle too.
I think it's
but that was my first love. And my dad was like, we can't get any more rabbits in the freezer. He said, all your aunts and uncles are like, we don't want no more.
They don't want no more neither, huh?
He said, and I'm done asking people. He's like, he said, tell you can find a home for some of these rabbits that we've put in the freezer.
Yeah.
And I'd be like riding my bicycle down to the neighbors. I was like, you guys want some rabbit? And most of them be like, everybody loved rabbit back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, there ain't probably very many people that even eat wild rabbit anymore, because now when I see a rabbit, if I ever jump, I can hunt a whole deer season, jump 2 or 3 or 4
you don't
rabbits.
see many, do you?
I jumped one other day, and as he run off, I was like, I prayed for him. Lord help him.
Go make babies.
I watched him go out there and make a circle. I was like, put your hand of protection on him, plead the blood of Jesus over him. I said, little feller, keep your ears up and your head down, because you're a pilgrim in an unholy land. That's what
few of you
so
left.
Anyway, I said, when I see a rabbit, I don't know if I could kill one now or not, because there's so few.
Well, you said and talk about this, and I instantly, my mouth starts to water. It takes me back as a child. And I've not had this meal for years. I'd almost have to call my mom and be like, Mom.
Go ahead, and then I'll say there's a guy on here you can call, I think, to help you out. But go ahead.
And wild rabbit, cast iron skillet,
yeah,
cooked super slow, homemade gravy right there, the old white gravy on it there, and
rabbit and gravy,
mashed potatoes right there, some homemade mashed potatoes there when you have your gravy on there, just setting to the side.
Like you said, you always bite slow.
Yeah,
you don't just throw rabbit in your mouth and go to hammer down chewing on it. You just ease into it, because there's
some shot in it. Yeah,
some lead poisoning in there.
There is nothing like that. It makes me sit here and go back. I'm like, man, I would just about pay anything for that meal.
And here's the deal. I think I was going to look all these up, and I don't remember, but you can rabbit hunt. Somebody watching could Google it. You can rabbit hunt until, is it like the 15th of February or something like that? So you can still rabbit hunt.
Quail.
You can coyote hunt. I think rabbit and quail run together. Squirrel hunt.
That's another one that's thin too.
I think squirrel runs till either rabbit. It may even run with coon season.
I don't know.
Coon season's in. My dad is a coon hunting machine. He loves to coon hunt, runs his dogs. he hates the snow because the snow puts the coons up for days if it stays on. They don't like to come down on the snow.
Man, all I've seen is on my cameras.
Well, after
They have been on
it's
this
because
side.
they're starving.
Yeah,
so,
they have to go look.
So most coon hunters know if you get a snow on for 2 or 3 or 4 nights or maybe longer. I don't know. An old coon hunter could tell you more details, but the coons, they have skin feet. You know, they don't have pads.
Yeah.
If you ever look at their little feet, they have a skin almost like ours. And I guess they just don't like walking on snow and ice. And I can't say that. I
They're
blame
probably
them.
cold.
So they'll stay up. Now, those last couple days of deer season,
Oh yeah, they're hungry.
man, I was sitting there in the broad daylight and coons were just bouncing around everywhere. And what it's been, they can only stay up in the tree for so long.
Yeah,
and they
they're-
gotta come down and find something to feed. So there's still coon season. It's like February 18th or 20th or something. Look these up so you know, but you can still coon hunt. And there's more than one way to coon hunt. You ever called coons? Oh,
No, but I've heard of.
it can be. I've done it and had some good hunts, and I've done it and like they ain't having it today. You know,
And they
but
make
you
some.
can-
Man, raccoons are vocal, aren't
yeah,
they?
you
when
can.
they-
You can go out in the broad daylight, and it works best for me with the mechanic or the electronic call. I got the coon fight and like the boar fight and kitten coon distress and stuff like that.
Dude,
You can go out to these old barns. You can go to find a big den tree. Now you're not supposed to mess with that den tree, I think, by law. Somebody, like I said,
Oh, I
look all
didn't know
these things
that.
up.
yeah, I
And
didn't
correct
know
me.
that.
Well, I think you can call them out of the den.
You just
Once
can't.
they're on the outside.
You're good,
Yeah, once they're on the outside, they're legal. So, you know,
man.
sometimes when I'm coyote hunting, if I'm on a big, I'll make a big circle calling. You know, if the land works right, I'll call this and then walk over here 3/4 of a mile and call this. And sometimes in between there, if I see a huge den tree with big holes, set that collar underneath that tree,
They'll
back up,
pile out of there.
put the old boar fight on. Because see, they're in their breeding cycle right now too. You put that old boar fight, and man, an old boar could come bailing out of that tree.
Dude,
it
they
makes for a
make-
good time.
They make some noise, man. Anybody that's been out there in the middle of the night or in the morning, you know, you get in the
They-
stand early and you hear 2 coons.
Yeah, and what they're doing is they're fighting for position in the den because generally
Yeah.
right at daylight, you ever notice that?
yeah,
You start hearing them squall and bawl.
Oh, I'm like, oh man, them
Yeah.
somebody just got
Yeah.
whipped.
It's 2 big old coons like, that's my bed and you're in it. Get out. You know?
That's exactly what's going
Yeah,
on in
yeah,
there. Yeah.
yeah. So you
It's
can
like a Goldilocks, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. This one's just right. But
Someone's
you can,
sleeping in my bed.
so you can call coons, run them with dogs. That's still in target rich environments. What we've been to, you could still do some sort of hunting,
Yeah.
even though deer season's out. I would challenge people to get out and hunt other things. If all you've ever hunted is deer,
Yeah, there's a lot of other things.
man, I tell you, a good squirrel hunt, late season squirrel hunt's fun.
That needs to happen anyway. The squirrel, I don't think
Squirrels are plenteous.
they are very plenty.
Hey, squirrel and gravy is good too.
Squirrel is good too.
I don't know that I like it as much as I like.
No, rabbit is
rabbit.
rabbit is.
And I was getting ready to tell you, Jay Wallace, he's still on there.
Yeah.
I was talking to him just the other day. I think he is raising rabbits.
Is he?
Maybe. you
Yeah?
know? Yeah.
I wouldn't mind a.
And tame rabbit, wild rabbit's good. Tame rabbit's
It's a lot. It's way more tender.
It's good.
Man, I have a story.
It's
I'll,
hard to mess up.
I'll tell us. I'll
I
tell.
told Jay it's hard for me to butcher them when them big pink eyes, you know, them white ones with the pink eyes looking at you.
You want to
Talk about a softie.
Do you want to hear a story? Here, I'll make it quick,
All right.
as quick as I can. So we had some tame rabbits. We had been raising them. We moved.
Oh my land!
or
I don't know if you
Yeah.
tell
So
this
some. No, we had a fire.
Already
That's what it
proceed.
was. Yeah. This is not going right. And so we had a fire. We had to leave everything we had. Okay. And we had like 8 or 9 rabbits out there,
Mhm.
you know, and the kids had raised them and played with them and loved them. And it was about time for dad to teach them the circle of life and how this all works. And
And you're
so
gonna get hate mail.
I may. Hey, I've already dealt with
Go
this.
ahead.
I've already dealt with this. This was a long time ago.
Yeah.
This is all under the blood. And so
I'm a rabbit.
I wrung their necks and skinned them and we ate them. My kids ate their pets. And it traumatized my oldest daughter. And she told the guidance counselor at school, and they tried to make a big deal about it. And I was like, hey, for one, it was not a big deal.
Yeah.
It was not, it was, you know, someone
It
was,
is.
they were trying to be pretty woke about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I was not about any of that life at all.
Yeah.
I said, hey, they're rabbits. We ate them. I feel like you may have played into this a little bit more than what you should have. This is my business. Stay out of it. And that was.
Listen, Jay's right. Jay's right. Jay says, remind yourself how good they taste when you dispatch them.
But anyway,
they are delicious, man.
Don't
It
make your
makes me-
kids
you know, my
eat your
wife's,
pets.
yeah.
that come
My-
back to get you.
Well, that's, I don't know. That's probably really good for them, though.
It was good for
The
him.
rabbit was definitely good.
The
for
rabbit
him.
was good for him. She
But
didn't
the
eat it.
lesson that
The
they
lesson-
are just animals. You know, the Bible says never worship the creation, but the creator. And I think sometimes this animal rights stuff is almost like worshiping the creation.
Oh, yeah.
You
it
know what I'm
is.
saying?
Well,
It's a form of that.
well, I was
anyway.
like, and I could have just turned them loose, and the hawks and the coyotes could have just,
yeah, there's,
they
you
would have
know,
just,
the ravages of the wild would have dealt with them much more harshly than
than
you
I
ever
did for sure. Then for sure. Because they were dispatched with love.
Yeah. Rabbit story. My wife's grandpa, which is like her dad, man. Pop, we love you. You're in heaven looking down from the great cloud of witnesses. Thank you for being such a good example. But anyway, I don't remember. I think it was maybe after Kristen's grandma passed away, but we called him Pop, Ed May. Everybody, we all knew him as Pop. Pop's like, man, you know, he was probably, gosh, 80, 79, 80, 81, 82, somewhere. I don't remember.
Lived a good life.
Yeah. But he was still really healthy, but obviously he's like, I'm not going out and going rabbit hunting. But he's
Yeah.
like, you know what I miss? He's like what you just said, well, I miss rabbit and gravy.
Oh, man.
Excuse me, I got caught. But he's like, I miss rabbit and gravy. And I was like, well, Pop, I'll get you a couple of rabbits.
Look you up, man.
You know. And this hasn't been forever ago, but this has probably been 10 or 12 years ago. And then I realized how few rabbits there are. You know,
A little harder to get.
walked for 3 or 4 days. Finally got a couple jumped up and got him shot, cleaned and took him to him. And I mean, I you know, he was tickled pink and then seen him, you know, whatever it was, a couple weeks later or whatever. He's like, oh man, them rabbits were good. He ate them rabbits, made him some rabbits and gravy.
Made him happy, didn't it?
Yeah. So that's a neat story. Those rabbits are good eating. Hey, don't think we ain't gonna starve
No.
around here. You
No.
know, at least right out of the gate, because you got squirrels. Man, my backyard was full of squirrels, and I got me one of them high-powered pellet guns. Started putting a whooping on them because I had a pecan tree that just started making pecans. I was
Yeah,
like,
oh, yeah.
I am bound determined to get some
I'm gonna get some
I'm
pecans.
getting some pecans off that tree. Every day after work, I'd get home enough time, I'd sit there and work them over. Before the pecans, even, they weren't touching them. I was
Yeah.
like, maybe I can get them thin.
Yeah,
I thought I had the squirrels thinned out and the pecans came on.
they just keep coming.
And I mean, there must have been 10 or 12 standing in line every time I shot one. To
They
take its
know, don't they?
place.
And you know this because you're a hunter.
They won't touch those pecans.
until
until-
they're ready.
Yeah.
Just like hickory nuts too. You can go early in the season. If anybody that hunts them knows, like I have one spot,
I'm sure they sample them. I always find what they call samplings.
but they'll cut one tree. Like they'll get on one
Oh, that
tree.
tree's ahead of them. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like
Ahead
and,
of the other trees.
and if you know where that tree is at this year, you can go back to that tree next year and it'll be the same thing, man. I can go to one,
Be the first one. they
first
hit.
one they hit, you just walk right up there, sit down, and just start.
Nuts raining.
Yeah, it's awesome,
Yeah.
and it's pretty neat how that all,
Yeah. When they're cutting hard, you know how it is, especially if you use a 22, especially if you
don't really
get down
rattle
there.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get down and start CB capping them or whatever. You get down there and start knocking them. You start knocking them rascals out. Hello, Paul. He's getting on there. He says, oh,
Yeah.
you start knocking them out and they won't even hardly stop cutting.
No, when they're in a
Like
frenzy.
the nuts are falling. People have
Sounds like rain.
It's just like rain in the woods of nuts falling.
Yeah.
Cuttings. They're setting up there cutting nuts, and with their teeth, you can hear it, and the nuts are falling. And you'll shoot, and the nuts will stop
Get still for just a second.
like 10 seconds. All the nuts start falling again. Ain't that?
Yeah, it's a phenomenon. It's
Yeah,
pretty neat.
It's a fun thing. I haven't done that for years. I used to walk and shoot squirrels after. I used to walk and shoot squirrels with my bow and a judo point.
That is cool.
After bow season go out, I'd put my camo on because squirrels are privy. You
Oh.
know, if you're camoed up,
You can sneak up
do a
on
little
them.
better with the squirrel. But when they're down on the ground late season, they spend a lot of time on the ground.
Yeah, because that's where everything's
All
at.
the nuts they've buried in the head. You know, they're
Where-
looking where I hide
Where
them
did I put that
things.
one at, man?
I know I put one here somewhere, but
Yeah,
you
it's
can
by
go
the other
out.
50 you put down here. It's like,
I'd slip around through the woods.
God bless
know,
those squirrel, man. They
and
planted
give
a
'em-
lot of trees, ain't
And,
they?
yeah, and it's God's way of planting a nut tree.
It is. Yeah.
But I'd walk around and shoot squirrels back when I had an arrow sponsor, and I could send them.
Have you ever? I'll tell you something. Like down in Shawnee, you get down in there, and there's
Mhm.
there's some new growth and some stuff where it's been blowed down and whatnot.
Right.
Oh, Lathan, it's like the squirrels don't even. They're just on the ground down there, bouncing from sapling to. I mean, I've walked out there before to set, and I was like, this is intense. Like 7, 8 squirrels just
Yeah.
bouncing off of saplings, not even in the trees. I was like, this is crazy, you know.
There's lots of squirrels and less squirrel hunters, I'd say,
Yeah.
throughout the years. People look at them at the park and think how cute they are.
Here's another funny one. Tied in when we moved to town from our fire.
Yeah.
I'm just such a hunter and geared in such a certain way that we didn't, I lived out in the country and I had wildlife that was all around me. It was out my back door, and I'm just used to living like that. And we're inside, and felt like maybe trapped isn't the right word, but kind of felt that way. Kind of did. I went to Rural King and got a squirrel feeder and a bag of ear corn and stuck it on the tree right there by my kitchen window. And I'd take a pellet gun. They get on there, man. I'm gonna tell you what, them old town squirrels, I got a little meat on them.
Yeah. I ain't done as much running, huh?
The old ladies out there feeding their squirrels are like, man, I wonder where all these squirrels are going. I'm like, man, they're going in my bucket. That's where they're going.
I was never finished. Kristen would come home every once in a while. I'd kill several squirrels, and something about having a fire. I just go out in the backyard still this day, and
It's a primal thing.
and cut me like I started last year swinging the axe, and like every evening. I actually had a neighbor the other day. It's like, when are you gonna start swinging your axe again? Haven't seen you out there swing. I swing my axe and just cut up what's brush and junk laying around, and then burn it. But anyway, I've always done that. I just like to, start a little fire and sit around it and watch it burn, and drink coffee. And then every once in a while at where my old house was, which is basically where my house is now, yards are touching, I would kill a few of those squirrels with my little pellet gun and put them on a spit.
Roast them out
And
there.
Kristen would come home. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, I want to eat this squirrel I killed this evening. Always in season, of course. But anyhow, so you can squirrel hunt, you can coon hunt, you can coyote hunt. I don't know about the bird seasons other than crow. Now, there's something that not very many people hunt that
I've
I
never
know
done
of
that.
anymore.
They fascinate me. Crows and blackbirds like that. They fascinate me.
I haven't for years, but it used to be a group of guys that would go. There is actually a crow season. I want to say it runs into February somewhere.
Yeah.
You can. A crow is a crazy, easy animal to call in, but very hard to call in to shooting range.
Yeah. Well, they
Like
observe
you can get an
before.
electronic call or a good crow call, and you start blowing that thing, and it is sometimes seconds,
and they're on
and
you.
they're on you. Especially if you know
Where the bunch of them
where
are
a
at.
bunch of them are. They're always in those bottom fields and stuff like that.
So what's the
Pine
difference
thickets.
between a crow and a blackbird? Like the crows, are they the ones that stand
crows? Are
8,
pretty good size,
10 inches tall?
Yeah. And then you've got a blackbird that migrates,
Or a
in here.
raven. We have what you would call a raven.
I don't know if we fully have ravens. That's something, ravens and crows are very similar.
By
and,
their beak, I think is the difference. on
yeah.
it.
And there's
And they're meat eaters.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're intelligent animals.
Every once in a while, just hunting coyotes with a rabbit call, crows will come
to it.
Yeah, they think there's a rabbit in distress.
They'll be able-
like, I might be able to get a piece of meat of that.
I told you what I seen off the highway the other day. Big bald eagle
Yeah,
picking on her. 3 crows sitting right on. I mean,
Yeah.
and they were right by him, but they were just
sitting
like,
on a carcass.
yeah,
Yeah,
he was on it, and they were just off to him about, less than a foot or so. And it was like, okay, sir, whenever you're done, we got your back.
Yeah. We're gonna stand here whenever you're done, and then we'll pick
And they
up
did.
we'll
but-
pick up the crow.
I just couldn't believe how close they were to him. And they were within extreme proximity to him.
Yeah,
Obviously, they posed a threat to him.
Obviously, yeah, he probably already lined them out.
Yeah, but they were just right there, just like, okay, we'll wait our turn.
But crow hunting, man, that's something that you would probably be like, that was awesome. Because here's the deal with crow.
Yeah, how's it go down?
Lightning bolt eyesight, like a turkey or an eagle. I mean,
So
they have
they're
a
on ya.
zero. They have a zero tolerance. You cannot, from what I remember, I haven't hunted them for several years, but you can't move until it's like time to shoot. And we decoyed them. You know, you get some crow decoys, put it out in a cornfield, get your electronic call, hide it, put it under some corn stalks and stuff like that, and turn on a crow fight, you know, a mob, or it's actually a murder.
A murder of crows.
A murder of crows.
Isn't that odd?
Turn on a murder of crows
Ugh.
doing their thing in a field, feeding or fighting. And it'll be seconds, and you'll sometimes, I mean, not every time, but
They're in the bottoms.
it's a matter of
sure.
seconds and minutes sometimes. And if you look, you'll see off in and they'll start answering, you know, calling, and you'll see crows coming. You got to hold it tight, and the decoys and everything's got to be right, but they'll start swooping in. You just rise up, about like duck hunting. You just rise up and start blasting them with shotguns out of the sky. It's
just rake them, huh?
Pretty good time from what I remember.
That does sound like a good time.
Yeah, and I think I was
like
showing Wes.
target.
I think I was showing Wes here a while back, maybe a couple of years ago at his house. I was like, "Watch this," because I could hear him way off in the distance. We set the electronic call out in his front yard, and I just turned on that crow fight. Yeah, it's like a crow mob murder fight, just going nuts. And frenzy or something. I don't know what you'd call it. I can't remember what it's called on my call. There's several different ones, but anyhow, hit that thing, and he was like, no kidding. And it was like seconds. There was crows there circling his house, and
they were looking for
some of them lit in the trees over there, you know, like 200 yards away. But I was like, if you would have been buckled down in a camouflage plot and leaves and ghillie suits and camouflage
ready
shotgun,
to spring the trap,
with some good full choke guns. You're gonna want some full chokes because they're, you know, you're gonna have to shoot them up there like 40 and 50 yards high and knock
so you
them
need
down.
you need a good tight.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time.
That's
so
awesome.
That being said, you can hunt crows.
Well,
I think Justin said, if he's talking about crows, February 28th. There is a crow season, Paul. There's an actual crow season. So make sure you're hunting them in season.
Yeah. Make sure you got a valid license and you're doing everything legal.
And as many as there is, probably need to thin some crows. Man, seems like
I see them all the time.
Seems like there's murders of them around.
Don't they have like when they fly over, don't they have anybody that spends a lot of time out in the woods sitting you can hear these different birds fly
Everybody
over.
hears the
You hear their wings, man. But when they fly,
their wings. But there's several other vocalizations that a crow have. One of them sounds just like a buck grunt.
Really?
Oh yeah, just like from a distance, like a buck grunt. Because one time, and I haven't heard that vocalization from a crow a lot, but I have heard it. One time, me and Wes was together. We're hunting this big weed patch. My uncle hunting probably, I don't know, 200 yards away in a woods. That's adjacent to this weed patch. We're out kind of in the weed patch, some trees that nest out there. Well, anyway, we were sitting there, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, there's a buck grunting coming. Sounds like it's coming quick.
Man, I've heard
I was like, sounds like it's coming quick, you know, covering ground like they're chasing grunting.
Yeah.
And we're getting ready, and we look up, and it's a crow flying low over the top of these weeds, probably, I say low, you know, 20 yards high or 30, you know, not
treetop. Yeah.
Yeah. He's up in the air, but he's kind of low. So the sound was coming from out ahead of us.
Projecting it out in front of him.
And I was like, he did it. I was like, that's that crow. Well, it's like seconds because my uncle knew he's over. My phone's ringing. It's my uncle. I pick it up. My uncle's like, hey, you guys better get ready. I hear him grunting coming your way. And I promise you, I was like, we thought the same thing. That was a crow.
Yeah.
I was like, he made a sound coming up. Why? For whatever reason, he was doing that just periodically, about like a buck does when they're chasing. I said, it was a crow. He's like, oh no, not what I heard. Not what I don't know if he could remember it to this day, if he would tell you that it was
well, there's times
it wasn't a buck.
I've heard what I would thought was deer grunting out there,
Yeah.
and it very well could have been a crow.
And I don't hear, most of the time you just hear that loud holler.
Because I didn't hear no moving, you know, like normally when it's still enough to hear a buck grunt, you can hear some
Yeah, if they're really, and they got to hammer grunt hard, but if they're doing that and covering that tear, you hear the brush.
You hear 'em
breaking.
moving.
Yeah, stuff too. So it was definitely, we watched it. It was
Oh,
like
that's neat.
grunt, crow. I was like, that's the crow making that sound.
That's neat.
You know, but we were like getting up. I was like,
Oh yeah.
we were filming. I was like, here he comes, here he comes. You know, and it was a blasted old blackbird crow come flying out across there. But so, I don't know. There's crow hunting. I think it'd be a good time for some guys to get together and go crow hunting.
That would be a good time.
Bought case of shells and
Go out, man. I need to. I haven't shot my shotgun for a while.
Some good deep black. Seems like, could be wrong. Seems like to me we even had the whirligigs.
Yeah.
For coyote hunting. You put a black cloth on that,
and that'll get them pulled in,
and
there.
it gets whirligigging, like one down there fighting,
or one's been
wounded, or something like that. And you've got your steel decoys all around it. Seems like that's what we did. And I mean, I remember them rascals coming in there. And what's crazy is, you go to Blaston, kill several crows, and they just turn into decoys. Just leave them lay
because they're laying there, ain't they?
Yeah, they're just laying there in the corn. We seem like we always, because they do eat corn too. They're meat eaters, but they spend a lot of time in a cornfield or something like that.
They pick around, don't they?
Picking at the corn. So it seems like, and so they're laying in the corn, they turn into decoys. And a lot of times, I don't think it's the same crows necessarily circling
They'll
back.
pull
But
back
there's
on
just
you.
so many crows. If you just wait just a little bit, 15 minutes or something, like, let's hit her again, and I don't know if it's the same crows just turn around coming back, or if it's just another murder.
You ever hunted pigeons? You ever ate pigeon?
I think I have ate pigeon.
Squab
Here's my thing.
In Europe,
we're getting ready to go to Africa, next year, and I cannot shoot a zebra.
Sure, it's your thing.
Not because I can't, because I won't.
You won't,
because I grew up with horses, cut my teeth riding horses.
I heard they're delicious.
My dad is still a horse whisperer. If you ask me, he can make a horse do what he wants it to do when nobody else can. He's passionate.
You just walk up there and be like, "Hey, listen,
what we're gonna do." I don't know what.
They're like, "Okay."
He
George.
Don't whisper to him, but he can train and break, and
he has
a way with horses.
That's awesome.
And part of
it's a gift.
Part of it's because he has a passion for them.
Yeah.
And he'll stay with them until he gets them. Anyway,
well, he understands.
So me growing up underneath that, I was like, I cannot shoot a zebra. I'm not against. If you want to go shoot a zebra,
I don't know if I could either. I mean,
shoot him. I'm not. But for me, that's a horse.
I mean, I sit here in front of this camera and act like a cold-blooded killer. But guys, listen, there's times when I probably can be, but there's also the love of God has been shed abroad inside me, and I do have quite a bit of compassion. I do. There's some animals I just couldn't do it, man. There's no way. Even like some of the deer, I'm just like, oh, they're so beautiful, and then I pull my bow back.
Yeah. So where I was going with the zebra thing is, I also, a little known fact, and Jarrett, my son-in-law, and even my wife is like, I question that. And I can't remember to bring it up when I'm around my dad and people that know, but we were talking one time. I was like, oh yeah, I used to raise pigeons. And they're like, huh, I don't believe it. You raised pigeons. I was like, yes. When I was a kid, I raised pigeons. I had homing pigeons.
Did you really?
I had the little canisters that you put on their legs and send messages. We'd take them down to neighbors and
talk
fly
about this, man.
We'd fly them home.
That's intriguing.
Yeah, yeah. You take them to Fairfield and take them in your little cage, and you put your little canister and you put your little note in there, and you have your coop all set up where they can go in, but they can't get back out, and they'll go right home and go right in that one-way door. You get home from buying groceries, and you can go in there. And you got to work with them, but they're pretty amazing. I had tumblers, I had rollers, fanning pigeons. I had white pigeons, snow white pigeons that we would, my neighbor rigged up this concoction, and we'd dip them and we'd collar them. I had pigeons with purple wings and pink tails.
That's good.
And they'd be like flying around.
Things about pigeons is like, mankind has been using pigeons to communicate for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
You can go back, look at stuff like World War II and World War One. Like, we fought and won World War II using pigeons because communication was so, like the Nazis and stuff. They're like,
It's a pure form of long range communication.
Yeah, they were using those pigeons,
Yeah.
homing pigeons, man, to
Yeah.
even feed false information to the opposing side. They would catch these pigeons, like, oh, we got the plans.
Pigeons are fascinating.
They're
Pigeons,
intelligent.
Pigeons mate for life.
Do they? So they're like a
Yep.
dove too. A dove
Yep,
does that.
dove
Yeah.
mates for life. Pigeons mate for life. I don't know about a dove because a dove and a pigeon are similar in nature, and
They look very
I like to
similar.
dove hunt. But I was saying all that to say I struggle to kill pigeons because I just grew up raising them and loving on them. You know,
We just
and-
shoot them out the elevator. We go to
and
the
I know
elevator.
they're pests. They got to be thinned.
No, they do.
because they just destroy stuff.
Well, they just poison them.
They
Is
just-
what they do. Most
Yeah,
of the
they
time.
just destroy stuff with their waste. But anyhow, I had those pigeons, and they mate for life. A pigeon is so unique in this, and I don't know if a dove does this, but a pigeon drinks like a horse. Most birds don't swallow. If you watch a bird at a puddle or a chicken, he at the water, you know, he gets some, and you watch him tip his
Yeah.
head back. He's letting that water run. A pigeon
Will
buries
laps it up.
a pigeon buries his beak in the water, and you can see his little throat. He can
takes it-
swallow for
he takes
whatever
it on,
reason.
huh?
For whatever reason, a pigeon can
He
swallow,
loads up.
and they can find their way home from astonishing distances.
Like hundreds of miles, man.
You know, their worst enemy is a hawk or owls and stuff like
Snatch
that.
'em out of the air,
Yeah,
don't
they'll
they?
grab them right out of the air. They're pretty safe from everything else but getting shot out of the air by somebody. But every once in a while, you have a set of homing pigeons, and you know, you take one out and it never comes home, and you know,
if it's dinner for
Yeah.
something else.
yeah, something's probably picking at its bones. But anyway, they'll mate for life, and they lay 2 eggs. They generally
Really?
hatch
That's
2 babies.
Yeah.
Um,
So you're
they
pretty-
can swallow.
So what's the name? What kind of, you know, would you call a man like a pigeon man? Like, is
I
there,
have no idea.
has
I
to
was
be a
into it when
name.
I was young. I had a neighbors into it. I had a grandpa that liked pigeons, and a neighbor that really got me into it. And Dad built me a coop, and
oh,
I
that's
started
cool.
raising them. And you know, you got people don't even know there's pigeons. This is a unique thing too. So they mate for life. That's not real unique. Other animals and birds do that, but they mate for life. They can swallow where other birds can't. And then there's these pigeons, and I don't know if they've been bred that way. Obviously, because when you get a good set of tumblers, you want them. You want that one.
You wanna
and they
pair 'em
pick
up.
each other, but you kind of
We'll
kind of
leave you two alone. We'll leave you two alone.
We'll put
Get
you
to
there
know each other.
together. Yeah, you kind of
Set you up.
instigate. Yeah, you kind of instigate the relationship, but they have to choose each other.
Sure.
And you get 2 tumblers, and once they have babies, their babies are tumblers. And what's a tumbler? I can't remember for sure. Someone might correct me on this. Tumblers and rollers. Tumblers will be flying around because I just let them fly. They'd fly all around the house during the day because I'd have my coop where they could get out.
Yeah. In
And they
out.
just stay around, fly around, go back to coop to eat and fly around.
Yeah.
We had those behind the house. They always sat
They'd
on
hang
top-
up in
they'd
there,
hang
yeah.
up on the top of the silos. Then they'd come to the coop at night, and I'd shut them in so nothing could get in. And then when I had my homing pigeons out, I had the one-way door I'd set up where they'd go through it, but they couldn't get back out. So when if I wanted to check my messages,
Check the mail.
check the text message. Text message before text message was cool. But
That's so interesting.
but the tumblers would be flying around and you watch them. And I'd show people, I was like, watch this, here come my tumblers. They'd be flying. And the tumblers, if I remember right, it looks like you shot them out of the sky. Like they'll just be flying along. They'd be up there, 60 yards high, whatever, 50 yards, flying around the house, flying around the barn. And all of a sudden, for just whatever reason, they just like you shot them, fluttering to the ground. Then they'll just take off flying again.
And they're purposely doing that.
They do it on. It's something they do.
They're
on purpose.
showing off or doing
Right,
something.
we think it's on purpose. Maybe they're having seizures. I don't
They
know.
can't fly. They short
But
out
that's
for a
what-
second.
And then rollers, and I could have it backwards, but then there was rollers that did backflips.
Well, they
would
fly. I've
and
seen
fruit
that.
and do
I have
backflips.
seen
Fruit.
that. Yeah,
That's a pigeon thing.
I've seen that.
I don't know if it's a male. I don't remember.
If he's
all that.
like,
and he's just
"Hey,
like, "Hey, girls,
check."
watch this! I can do backflips." And I don't know if the other one's a male. It's like, "Watch how close I can get to the ground this time before
like
I die."
when we all went to the swimming pool when we were
Yeah,
young,
yeah.
like
Yeah,
Ow.
stick your chest out
little
and see who
Josh
can
out
do
there on the
the-
springboard.
right. I don't know how we got off on pigeons.
Well, I asked
Well,
you
you
hunted
said
them.
if I
If you ever hunted them, yeah, or ate 'em,
helped in
yeah.
pigeons, and I really don't because I love raising them so
I
much.
can see that now.
And one of my most traumatizing events in my young life was when I got off the school bus and I heard the pigeon coop just going nuts, and I walked around the corner where I could see into it, and the neighbor's cats had got in there.
Cleaned them up.
Man, they were wiping my pigeons out. I had like 2 sets of my favorite sets of homing pigeons sitting on babies. They broke the pairs up, got the babies.
Ransacked the coop
Yeah, might not have ended
for the cats. Probably.
great for the cats that night or that evening. I don't remember for sure, but I got some everything kind of blacked out.
When I woke up, the pigeons were gone, and so were the cats.
So
they
let's end with this because it's about time to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Let's end with this. So there's one other thing that I could think a guy could spend some time hunting.
That's what okay. I was going to say hunting. I was going to go ahead. I was
Looking,
just,
picking up.
yeah, arrowheads.
I was thinking,
I had 2 things, and we can hit them real quick because
okay.
we won't get in because we've been in it. We've been at this for well over an hour now.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up and go home and eat
Yeah,
some
we'll go
supper.
home and eat some spaghetti and cuddle up next to my wife.
And not pigeon.
And not.
If anybody's got any rabbit, I would eat some rabbit. I'm
One
not eating
thing
no pigeon.
is that the target rich environment is personally for myself. I've switched to the target side of archery,
There
and
you go.
yeah, which is
It's target time.
it is target time,
It's happening.
and it keeps me super sharp. Shoot a lot of shots.
That being said, come to the shop tomorrow.
Yeah.
Throw $20 in the pot. We got it. We got a different. We're gonna be shooting a different target tomorrow.
Yeah,
All right,
it's-
back to you.
No, for real. Come on out here, man, guys. It's a good time. I shot the first one. It was a good time.
You won.
I won $70.
Yeah, the
I
gas-
just showed up. I walked in here in the snow, and they're like, "Hey, we're doing this," and I
Yeah.
walked back there and shut
Won
my
you-
eyes and
won
won
you
it.
half a tank of gas.
Yeah, I
Or
did. I
more.
bought some groceries, put some. No, yeah, actually, what did we? Yeah, we went. My wife and I left here, went right to Walmart. I said, "Hey, Jess, look what I won." We bought dinner. I handed her that money. She stuck it in the machine, and we went home and had a good old time.
There you go.
Paid for my groceries, fed my family.
Yep.
And just come up here and had a good time.
So,
So,
Ultra Products, feeding your kids, at
feeding your
home.
family, man. Yep,
You
that's what it's
come
all
win.
about here.
And
Uh,
obviously, the more guys that shoot, the
the
bigger
the bigger chance you have of winning more money, man.
the pot's getting
Yeah, the
bigger,
pot
'cause
gets-
we're giving away half, and we're just paying out first place, and we'll
It-
go till Saturday closing time, and whoever's got the top score wins. And
And-
we're going to be shooting not 5 spots tomorrow, different. I'll reiterate. I'll do a live
Yeah.
in the morning. Reiterate.
And here's the thing, guys. It's only 20 yards.
20 yards.
It's 20 yards, man.
10
And
shots. 10 shots.
Come
20
and
yards.
shoot your bow. But so anyway,
10
saying,
minutes.
so I'm building a new target rig. I'm going all out, and once we get it all broke out, maybe we can do a live one of these days.
Oh, I'm sure we'll do that, or we'll probably do some
Path
some
to the
podcast,
some path to the podium
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, show off your
Oh.
new target rig.
Oh yeah, man, I'm building a really nice target rig, and so I hope in the future, in a few weeks, when I get it all put together, I can take your money on Saturdays. No, that's not. I would like to try, but anyway, so that's what I'm doing. I'm shooting my bow a bunch, getting geared up for what's to come. We have some big things that may be coming through this. Actually, we do have some big things that are coming.
I forgot. I'm going to interrupt you. Keep that in mind. I forgot, Paul, you were a trap shooter.
Oh,
I bet,
yeah, Paul is a trap
I
shooter.
bet he would
I
love.
bet
He
he's a
said
crack
something
shot.
about that crow.
Yeah, he's a crack
I
shot.
bet
He'd
you would
have,
love
he'd have a
crow
good time
hunting.
going.
Yeah.
So
back
yeah,
to
so
what you-
anyway, so there's some big things happening here at Altar. We're gonna start putting some shoots on here coming up. We don't think we'll have dates maybe nailed down.
Yeah, we'll
I'll,
have some
I'll let them
actually,
guys
yeah,
release all that, but
outdoor 3D.
we're gonna start doing
shoots.
some outdoor 3D shooting, man. It's gonna start coming up, I think, once a month here pretty soon, and even possibly doing a big ASA qualifier. So we're getting pretty serious about the 3D stuff and really trying to push some guys to get out and shoot, and keep-
adults and young people.
yeah, women, children, men. Listen, it's a family thing, man. Get out here and do this stuff.
And it is a good way to feel. Keep your archery
yeah.
keep your archery stuff tuned up.
The biggest mistake you'll ever make out hunting, and listen, it's not 100% because you can always, guys have shot their bows over and over and over. You are very instinctive and you're good at what you do. But I'm telling you, one of the biggest mistakes you'll ever make is not shooting that bow. And when the time comes when you need to make that crack shot, you're rusty, man.
Yeah.
And you
It's
may
not-
make it.
It's not second nature.
Yeah.
Or, you
And-
let that.
And when guys that shoot your bows over and over and over and over again, man, it is second nature. And when you have to make that clutch shot, I'd say it's easier to make it.
Yeah.
It's just muscle memory. And so anyway, that's what I've been doing here. You know, we're gearing up for that here at the shop too. Things are getting ready to transition into this 3D that's getting ready to come, and so that's exciting. That's a big deal, I feel like. And then another one, what I like to do, and what I haven't done it lately, but I live for this stuff, was hunting arrowheads.
Yeah.
Uh,
Good exercise, and,
Oh,
and it's
man.
stimulating.
It
isn't
is very stimulating. It's good for your eyes. It
Yeah.
sharpens your senses.
Yeah.
You get your steps in
Yeah.
with a lot of mud on your boots.
Yeah.
So
Boots get heavy quick, don't
yeah, your calves get pretty swole.
they? Yeah.
You know, and
Glutes.
yeah,
Hammies.
all of it.
Yeah.
All of it. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't let, I'll give you a little, I'm a decent arrowhead hunter. I found a few, and I'll give you a little pro tip here. Just because that field ain't plowed don't mean that they ain't showing out there. We've had a really hard winter.
Yeah. It pushes them up.
The
doesn't it?
freeze and thaw, and just the ice alone, the weight alone. And when all this melts off, and if we would get a good rain when the ground is soft like this, you would be surprised. I have found dozens and dozens. I'll just be honest. I found well over 100 points, surface points, just, you know, a lot of small stuff, 1.5 inches, 2 inches, even, you know, but there've been some nice stuff mixed in there too. Laying flat up like this telephone on this table in a no-till bean field.
Yeah. I've found some like that.
Yeah, they're just, so when you know, don't just be like drive by like, well, that's a good spot, and keep driving.
Yeah.
Like, the only way you're going to find them is to get out.
Get out and
We encourage you to have permission.
yeah, talk to people. You know, most people, you're gonna find somebody says no, but a lot of people don't.
Yeah,
If there ain't nothing in the fields this time of year, you're not hurting nothing. If you're driving in, just walk across. There's a lot of people let you walk their hills.
And if you honor,
ditches
respect
and-
them by asking, and
Sure.
more than likely they're going to give
Yeah.
you permission. And
if they don't, go to the next.
yeah,
one.
go to the next one because someone else will.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and so that's something I enjoy doing. You know, and then like Lathan said, just getting out and walking. I'm
Shed hunting.
Shed hunting's coming. I'm already thinking about next year's deer season. I want to go ahead and trim some new spots out and get some things
It's
ready.
a good time to do some of that
Sign
sort of
is
thing.
there's still some sign down on the ground, and
You can find them. Here would be a tip that I would think would be handy if I ever get myself out and do it. These rope scrapes, I'm a believer in them now.
yeah,
They definitely have an allure to them.
for sure.
They definitely cause bucks to come to them.
During the rut, for sure.
Yeah, right. So my thoughts are you can find them old scrapes.
Yes.
You find them old licking limbs that are tore up.
Yep.
Find that line
Mm-hmm.
and possibly refine those scrapes for some of those bucks.
Manipulate them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, make a line of them. That's what I would love to try that. And now would be a great time to do that.
Go out and find them.
Just hang your rope and let it be there all season. Let it turn into part of the season, and then go in there probably June and July. Start doping it a little bit with some
Hang your camera on,
with
back
some
away
sort of,
from it, and you'd be
orbital
surprised.
gland sin or something on it to get them. And once they start hitting it, then the work is done.
It takes one.
Yeah.
It
they
just takes
they leave
one.
their scent there. So that would be a good thing to get out and do.
Yeah. Make a mental note. When you find these scrapes like this, normally you see the train features.
If you got
You know?
Onyx, draw a line. It's like, here's a scrape line.
If a guy doesn't get out and look, and a lot of scrape lines, you'll find like big rub lines.
Yeah.
There was a big rub line I tracked in the bottom. You know where it ended?
Yeah.
Big monster scrape
Yeah.
at a big river crossing. I was
Yeah.
like, well,
Here you
there
go.
it is. You
You know,
know,
so you can find those lines that help you think about your stand setup for next year, and maybe you could manipulate some of those scrapes and make them even
Yeah.
hotter with a rope or something like that, and then you know.
yeah.
And they're easy to see. Well, right when the snow and everything's gone, obviously, but you can walk down through there and see them old scrapes.
Well, even like I got some pictures on my phone right now where the snow is kind of melted, and me and Wes were talking about this earlier. The ground is dead, especially these old scrapes they've been using for years and years. These big ones, nothing grows there.
Yeah.
I got a picture on my phone of one the size of this table right now. There's snow and ice all around it, except for this one big brown spot. And this is in the middle of the
Quite a
woods.
bit of salt in the earth right
a little
there.
bit. They've been
melting it off.
layered up pretty
Yeah.
good there.
Yeah.
But that's my thing. So
Yeah. There's a lot to do.
yeah.
And I guess this is our way, this episode, of bringing some of those things to your attention, and also letting you know that it's good to get out. Do
Stay active.
something.
Stay active.
Stay active. I tell people shoot your bow all summer, and when you come in next year, your shoulders and elbows and arms and all that stuff will be just as strong as it was this year, if not stronger, and you won't have to turn that bow down. You're less likely to injure a shoulder.
My 17-year-old boy, he's been pumping iron so
Yeah.
he can turn his bow up, man.
You know, especially for these guys that are looking at 50 and
Mhm.
middle 50s. You know, if you shoot your bow a lot, you're going to keep those shoulders tuned up and
You're
stuff like that. You won't grab that bow come September next year and go out and tear something because
Yeah.
you're not in shape.
Yeah.
So shoot your bow. This is our way of saying those things to you. Find something to do. Come see us. I don't know. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Come see us. We're so thankful for everybody. This would be brought to you by us here at Ultra Products. Don't forget, remind somebody, come and shoot tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like it, share it, comment. All those things help us as we try to grow the podcast. We've got things in the future that we want to do on the podcast, people to talk to, or not customers, but visitors to come and visit.
And more information, things to get out there and
Stuff
help
like that.
people out, man.
Yep. So like it, share it, comment, and come see us. We thank you so much. This is it. Target rich environment, and there's still some targets to be hit out there. So get out there and hit them, and have a wonderful rest of the day, month, week, or whatever.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
All right. Goodbye.